Hey everybody, welcome to Buzzing About Romance, a sip and discuss episode. I am Becky, and joining me for this episode is Jenny. Hi Jenny.
Hey Becky.
So it's just you and I. It's been a minute since an episode's just been you and I, so this will be fun, right?
Yes.
Although, before we got started here, Jenny and I spent a couple minutes chit-chatting before we went live about the secret lives of Mormon wives. If you are watching this series, send us a message and let us know. We're debating if we should maybe cover it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we have
Give our 2 cents.
Because we have opinions on all the things. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize the VMAs were on tonight too.
Oh.
Apparently
Yeah,
that's our
I'm
competition.
No. I'm too old. I mean, I don't think I watch music videos anymore.
The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is available to stream on Hulu. All of season 1 is available currently. Anyway, let's talk about what we're here to talk about and not about trashy reality TV.
Yeah, because we could go on forever.
We could. So in our new format, we are diving into these book club style discussions as we sip and chat about selected titles. This week's title is a debut offering from Berkeley. It is the first traditionally published Indigenous voiced rom-com. We are discussing the Truth According to Ember by Dancia Nava. I do not know if this is a series, if this is standalone. Right now it is being marketed as a single book.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's more books to come in this world or what. So Jenny is going to break down all the details for you.
Great. Release date is August 6th, 2024, so just about a month. Tropes: deception trope, friends to lovers, hidden identity, close proximity, forbidden romance, secret identity, workplace romance, and there is a third act breakup. Like Becky said, standalone at the moment. It's a single first person point of view. Put out percentage 64%, and audio narrator was Sienna East. It was because it was just first.
Yeah, just her. Mm-hmm. And it's available everywhere. It's a traditionally published book. We actually listened to the audio out of our library. But it's available wherever you get books. If it's not in your library, you can request to have it added to your library. So overall, this book came on my radar because I saw that it was a own voice, Indigenous woman writing a rom-com, which we haven't had.
Right. And the cover looks amazing.
The cover's gorgeous. The people have faces and, you know, you see the hair and the influence. Like, it's bringing it. But I want to caveat all of the things we're going to say that this is a debut.
Right.
And it was not a stellar debut, in my opinion.
And I would agree. I did listen to the audio, and I'm not normally an audio listener, so I wasn't sure how much the narrator's tone played into my perception of the book.
Well, I ended up doing back and forth because, to be honest, the narration was annoying. It was slow. There wasn't a lot of tone, emotion, or inflection in the performance. It felt very much reading word on page.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was just me, because that's how I was like things that should have been really funny would be said, but they wouldn't be said any differently than.
There was no inflection in conversation. There was no inflection or voice change in banter. There was no inflection and voice change in the moments of flirtation or desire. And so I don't think that this is the audio quality was fine.
Right.
You couldn't, there was no big misses in the audio. It wasn't too quiet. It wasn't too loud. But it was not a quality performance.
Yeah, I would say it wasn't, like, she read the book to you.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't as much of a
Yeah.
performance.
And I do think, and let's talk about the fact that it's single first person point of view, because we recently did another debut book that was a single first person point of view. And I don't feel that in The Next Best Fling, we missed
Right.
his point of view. Like the book was messy, it was engaging, it was delightful. We were in it.
Yes.
I walked away from this book going,
Huh?
oh. And I believe you say his name Danawa, but they in the book call him Dave.
Yes.
Um, and so I I feel like had we had Dave's point of view, particularly because there was so much deception and miscommunication and misdirection of information, that how he processed it was needed to understand why in the end he took her back.
Right. Because yeah, I struggled like after like I don't know, like she didn't even really have a grand gesture. Like she was like, yeah, I really struggled with
Yeah.
the HEA.
Yeah, and I know we'll talk about it a little bit. Um I did not believe in their HEA. I didn't even feel like it was an HFN.
Yeah, I mean, because the epilogue you could maybe, yeah, I would agree.
You know, there's a girl over on TikTok that some people love, some people hate, that talks about books where she doesn't think the characters stay together in the end. Like 2 years in the future, are they still together? I don't know about this one. I don't think they
Yeah, I don't know
are.
either.
I just
Yeah.
think there's a lot to overcome, and we didn't do enough soul searching, enough, um, what's the word? Not
There,
confession, reconciliation, enough penance. Like there just wasn't enough penance, there's the word, that
yeah,
um to make me believe that she deserved his forgiveness.
I, yes, 100%. Because like he closes the door on her at first, and I'm like, yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
And I also had the thought, like, if this was like a reverse situation, like in a heterosexual, like if that was a male doing all those lies, like it would not be okay to like take him back.
No, and I think in a situation like that, he'd absolutely have been the villain,
Right.
but she wasn't villainized.
No.
And I'm not saying that she didn't have a reason. So let's talk about the setup a little bit, because she kind of has reasons, but again, it's the penance, it's the soul searching, it's showing us who she truly is and who her heart is, because this book felt a lot of like doing what she had to just get by. It's like when your kid cleans their room and they just
Right.
shove everything under the bed and in the closet and like, look, my floor is clean.
Yes. That is a very good description.
That's just how this book felt to me, like at that third act breakup. Like, we just shoved everything in the closet and under the bed, and the floor is clean.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it even opens with her being like she's not a liar, but like we see like on the first or second page that she's she's already said a lie, right? Like
Right.
so we don't see her as a truth teller.
Yeah, for sure. So, our heroine's name is Ember, and she struggles. She is struggling, and, you know, being poor. You and I both been there. We
Yes,
both
that was
have,
very relatable.
yeah. And no, we are not a person of color. We are white
No.
women and we are married to white men. So there is a certain amount of privilege we have, but we both have been victims of circumstances that have not allowed us to climb economically. And, you know, we've had to figure out how to stretch a dollar or, you know, I was trying to explain to my kids the other day about 19 or 2003 or 2005 when the kids were little and, we were struggling. Pork roast was 99 cents a pound, and I could make like
Right.
5 meals out of one pork roast. And my kids are like, "Did you really do that to us?" And I'm like, "I sure did." It's like chicken breasts and they're 99 cents a pound. We're eating a
Yes.
lot of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so like I could relate to her that her circumstances were not of her own making, and getting out of them, there was no clear or easy path.
Right. She doesn't have like a support system to fall back on. Um, which is like that has been like my experience as a poor person. Like I don't have like something goes wrong, it's my problem. So like something went wrong for her. Um, and her brother's really crappy.
Her brother is a piece of crap, and you feel bad because the people surrounding her are not helpful or kind, and I had the opposite experience of you. I did have a mom and a dad that stepped in and helped build Mike and I up as we were struggling, but they were also struggling because now,
Right.
they're at a certain point in their life and they're helping to raise a family of four and themselves. So, nothing was ever easy. And Ember has that also. She also is working a dead end job. She works at the bowling alley and she's desperate to find a career. She doesn't want to just be working a service industry job, retail, entertainment, food service. She doesn't want to do that. She dreams, and again, dream big, but she dreams of being an accountant.
Right.
And she lost her
Well,
college
it's this
savings.
yeah, it's the stability, right? Like she wants when you've never had that, that's
Yeah.
very alluring.
And again, growing up as an Indigenous person with the society working against them, and then you have this loss of your college funds because of your
Right.
piece of
And
crap.
both her parents left too, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, nothing was in her favor. And but she makes the conscious choice. This isn't an accidental deception. Sometimes you fall into a situation where there's accidental deception in a book, and I think that that's palatable when
I
that
would agree.
happens. This book,
Where it's like they say the truth, but like the other person misinterpret like the meaning of that.
right?
That is not the case.
Yeah, or doesn't necessarily hear the truth. Um, you know, and we've seen that with billionaire romances, blue collar romances. Like, he we've seen accidental deception, but she, out of desperation, embellishes her resume, which has her landing this accounting job at the company called Technics.
Which we still don't know what they are selling.
We don't, and I don't know that we needed to.
No, we didn't. I just thought it was funny because I'm like, this is like so American.
Yeah. And so it kind of did have some office vibes to it. Like they have a company, but we don't know what the company does, but we're here and we do work for the company.
Yeah.
um, so because of her lies, it sets off this chain of events, this chain reaction, and she is struggling to maintain the lie.
It just okay. I really struggle with anxiety wise. Like because she needs a new lie to cover up the next lie, and like, oh,
It's exhausting. It's exhausting also to follow her lies. And that was the other piece in this book that I kind of struggled with. You would start to connect with and you would think, okay, I can understand the justification of that choice, but then like there's another one compiled on top of it. How many times am I going to have to say, okay, I understand that lie? How do I
right.
make another lie? Like, when is it too much? And as a reader, particularly because we never saw the interactions or engagements from anyone else's point of view, we can only perceive how she's presenting it. And that was a problem here.
Yes. Yeah, especially like when the lies end up being lies outside of work too, and then like is anybody believing what you're saying, or they just like think you're joking? Like, yeah, it would have been nice to know what other people were
Yeah.
thinking.
So this is a workplace dynamic, and I love coworker romances, the tension, that close proximity, the fact that you're stuck in it unless you're willing to quit your job, and she wasn't going to quit because, well, she needed a job. Um, but this work environment was hostile.
Yeah, and I mean, it's I've not worked an office job, but it's kind of how I imagine office work is.
Yeah, I mean, I worked sort of corporate-esque, but I was in a call center, but no, yeah, this was full of, this was toxic. This was toxic
Right.
corporate environment. Microaggressions, lots of bigotry, especially for a Native woman like Ember.
Yes.
The jokes, the stuff that they were saying to her or implying, it really, like, my heart hurt.
Right. And I'm that was one of her, well, I mean, I think she called it a lie, but it wasn't. That was probably like one of those like half truths because she put herself down as white instead of Native American.
Yeah.
And she is white, but she's also Native
Yeah.
American.
Well, and because of that, the constant scrutiny, and that felt real. Like, that was really well done in the book. And I went on to read the author notes at the end of the book, and the author explains a lot of things that she has faced these kind of experiences in corporate America, which, I appreciate the author opening herself up like that. But in this romance, do you think that that worked? I don't think so. Like, her lies made some of the scrutiny and toxicity, like, this is the reward for lying.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it worked better with the male main character. Like there was one point where she's working for the secretary of the CEO or something, right?
Something, yeah.
She's working for that like head person in their building. And he like yells for her to get the Indian. So she gets like an Indian, a person from India.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
That was hilarious, but again, the audiobook did not make it as hilarious as it should have been.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about the romance because we did touch a little on the fact that this HA did not feel believable.
Yeah.
This is a forbidden romance. I love forbidden. It is a go-to trope for me. You put rules around being together. I like to see the rules being broken. I think they did an okay job with this. I mean, it was kind of expected because they're coworkers. Of course, the company is going to have a no dating policy.
Right. And again, that I think this is where it would have been beneficial to get his viewpoint because he doesn't seem as concerned about it. Like he's just like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
we'll just go talk to HR. Like,
But I also think that's because he's the IT guy.
true, he can change things.
Well, he can change things. I'm sure he wouldn't. Most IT guys have integrity. But also, I think that there is a level of they can't function without me.
Right. That is very true. Like, I mean, who takes the IT guy like to their presentation to
Right?
run the PowerPoint?
I mean, do I often ask the IT guy how to do stuff? I'll ask them how to do stuff, and then when they don't give me the answer I want, I just restart my machine.
But you're not getting private flights. I
No,
mean,
no. So, I mean, he did seem a lot more lackadaisical about the forbidden piece. And again, I take that as this is an IT guy, and they seem a little less bothered by the
yeah.
rules. I don't know. I have a rule
Yeah, I could,
follower, but he also doesn't seem to be as bothered by them.
yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Um, so as Amber and Dave grow closer, she continues to hide the truth about her resume and qualifications. And because of that added tension, I felt like every time we remembered one of the lies, the chemistry would just be like pouring a bucket of ice water on it.
Yes. Like, I think I was done with the cat. Like, because she's allergic to cats. And apparently, she is not like a little allergic to cats. Like, she is like,
Allergic.
yeah, like eyes swelling shut, allergic. And she still just keep, I'm like, just tell him you're allergic to the cat. Like,
Right. Right. So, one of the things that I really did enjoy about this book was the native joy. The book really did celebrate her native identity when she allowed it.
yeah, yeah,
There was both Chickasaw and Cherokee representation within the book. It also highlights the difficulties faced by Indigenous people in predominant white workplaces, including the microaggressions and cultural appropriations. And this book takes place in Oklahoma. And I
right.
think that, because of the push west of the Indigenous people, this is prevalent out in the West and the Southwest.
Yeah, because I don't know if they like made any like reference to like the res or the reservation, but like it seems like their community is at least
Some
a
of it.
yeah, like substantial amount of people are indigenous.
Yeah. And living on reservations and, trying to leave the reservation and move more into the, white culture. And this is where some of the problems and the microaggressions happen. Um, but I like that the author opened that up. Like she talked about it. She didn't shy away from those. She didn't make that this was like the perfect experience. Like this felt very real.
Right. And I like on the flip side of that, she also like said, hey, look, there are like organizations like here to help you. Like it's okay to take advantage of those.
Yeah.
Um, so I really, yeah, I really enjoyed that she was like looked at the whole perspective of a Native American.
And this is an own voice. There is an authentic perspective to the challenge that the Native individuals face in the workplace, as well as the personal and cultural triumphs. And Danica shares that in her author's note. So
Right.
if you read this, I highly encourage you to stick to the end and read her author's note because it really does add some context to the story and it made some things. So I ended up, when I was struggling with the book, and I passed the audio off to you, and I ended up finish eyeball reading it, I ended up pausing where I was at and going and reading her author note because I was struggling with this book.
That's fair. That's fair. Because I also got to a point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if this can be redeemed.
Yeah. I mean, um, I wanted to love this book. It's kind of how I felt about
Mm.
last week's book. I wanted to love it. I wanted to love it. Like this was anticipated for me. And I love miscommunication and I don't love deception, but if deception is done with purpose, like I get it, but it just kept snowballing bigger
Yes,
and bigger and it just got so out of control that I was like I lost the joy.
I agree. Yeah.
Um so I also feel like, and we talked about this with whether or not we thought the HEA would last or not. I don't think that. So there's believability issues here, right? Like,
Yes, very
can
much. At
Dave
least for me.
ever trust her again?
Well, because doesn't she like so he doesn't take her back and then she's like persistent and he does take her back. They're back inside the house, and I think he asked her about the cat, and she like
Yeah.
says she's not allergic to the cat. And he's like, your like left nostril like flares when you lie. Like,
Right. Well, and there's also the piece like she gets into the accounting and she has to learn a program like QuickBooks. And all of a sudden she mastered it. I will tell you, people, I tried to use QuickBooks for accounting and banking and invoicing for author stuff. And I had it for 4 months. I did all their tutorials that came with the program and I watched it online. Like I'm not using it anymore.
right? Yeah. Yeah,
It
you're not like learning that on the fly. Like,
no, no. Um, okay, I also feel like we have to talk about the pacing.
okay, yeah.
While the audiobook was slow,
Yeah, I bumped it up. Like I started out at 1.25 and I think ended at 1.75.
yeah. But this concept was appealing again. We like forbidden, we like office and workplace, but the backstories of the characters, the development of the romance was so rushed.
I also felt like there was a lot of things going on that were just kind of scraped over. Like you have her brother and his like time in jail and the bail money that was supposed to get her to school, and then you have his sister and like she has Down syndrome. Like it's a really cute and like she's a lovable character, but like we don't get any more information. Like,
Right. Like, how is that affecting him? How does that affect the family? How does that affect his ability to work, his relationship with Ember? And Ember's messy. She's flawed. And I am not saying that every character needs to be perfect. But her flaws were like as big as the Grand freaking Canyon. And she
yeah,
wasn't doing anything to backfill those.
and again, for me, it was that we started out with a lie, so like we didn't get to see. I don't feel like at any point we get to see like her genuine.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think this was a quick read? I feel like the
I mean,
pacing, it wasn't a lot of pages, but the pacing was such that it felt not quick, even though there were rushed pieces.
yeah, okay, so I don't usually do audio. I did the audio and I did homework at the same time, and I usually can't like do multitask like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so thumbs up, thumbs down. And this is, would you recommend this? Thumbs up, thumbs down. So if somebody's listening to this, is this a book you would recommend?
Thumbs down.
So I'm going to go thumbs down. I want to support this author though. I want her to get
Agree.
to write another book. So would I buy it? Yes, but it's one of those that I'm buying and I didn't necessarily read.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I think there's potential
yeah,
for more stories that are.
yeah. I'm not going to give up on this author. Like I'm still going to check out the next book she writes. But this, yeah, this read like a debut. It paced like a debut. And I think that they also fell into some very easy romance stereotypes.
Yeah, like rom-com, like it's kind of like slapstick,
Yeah.
like there was a like pregnant lady that she takes her place. Like you knew she was gonna like. I was just waiting for her water to break because I'm like, oh,
Right. Right. They leaned into, you know, the expected. And I wish they hadn't done that. I would have rather have seen them like what I think would have been an interesting in this. I think what would have made this book better is if we actually started at the breakup
oh
and
yeah,
how they moved forward in the forgiveness and how she could have a redemption arc. Like
that would,
I
yeah,
think a redemption arc for her would have made for a better romance. Like, you've fucked around and found out, and now you've got to repair. I think that if the three-fourths of the story had been her movement of repairing what she did and lied about, would have helped this with the
Yeah,
characters, the pacing, and, the development of the character arcs.
yeah, I would agree because we kind of get more of three-fourths of her lying and like just creating this web of trouble for herself, and then
Yeah.
she gets stuck in a corner and what are you gonna do? And then she's like, well, I gotta fix this. And she does the like necessary things to fix it, like getting a different job, getting a different car. But like again, with like there was no like grand gesture I felt on her part.
Yeah, not enough redemption or grovel.
Because she just knocks on his door, right? Like
Yeah.
she doesn't.
Yeah. Okay, so again, we're kind of murky here. I wanted to give you some other own voice rom-coms that I think are fantastic. That, if you want to support own voice authors and you want really well written rom-coms, here are some that I highly recommend. The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hong, The Wedding Date by Jasmine Gilroy, Alexa Martin's Inception, which I've talked about before. It's, a football romance. It's really good. Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, The Boyfriend Project by Farah Rachan. Sorry. You Had Me at Ola by Alexis Daria, Faker by Sarah Smith. So if you are looking for own voice romances, those are ones that I would put my seal of approval on and be like, oh my God, read those.
Right.
And I do hope this author will keep writing. I'm interested. I just think that the deception got too out of control and it
Yeah,
lost me.
I think it would maybe like if we started with her friend instead, like might have been.
Yeah, because if we had started with her friend and they could have built out like how rough the life was, and we would have seen it from other point of, and I think it's just the point of view.
Yeah, it's I mean,
Because
there's
his
definitely
life
the
seems a little
elements of
easier,
their
right?
yes.
Like he didn't struggle like she struggled.
But I also like I was really concerned where his sister was.
Spent a lot of time worried about that, huh?
Yes, I did.
Uh, and Stacy brings up that it's a big pet peeve for her that the heroine also needs to do a big grovel sometimes. And I 1,000% agree. This is a book
Yeah.
that's a perfect example of where the female heroine needed to do the work and she got off kind of easy. And had this, like you said, been reversed, we'd be sitting here screaming about him, ripping him apart.
Major red flags.
Yeah, like don't take him back. And I feel that way about her.
Yes, because I was yelling at him. I was like, no, 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 keep the door closed. Keep it closed. Make her do more.
Don't open the door. Okay. So that wraps up our discussion of The Truth According to Ember by Dancia Nava. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed diving into this unique rom-com with us. We're back on Sunday. I'm back on Sunday. I've given the co-host kind of the Sundays off. They'll be back in 2 weeks or a week from Sunday. Because everybody got busy with back to school, and September just seems to be not easy for anybody right now.
That's a little crazy.
It's funny because everyone's like, oh no, we're going back to school. Like, we'll be fine. This was like
Right?
beginning of August, end of July. Everyone's like, no, we're good. We're good. And then here we are tonight. There's two of us.
Yes.
So I've kind of doing something a little different on Sundays. So Rachel, Read with Rach, who's been on the podcast periodically, she's coming back because Sister has fallen down the pregnancy trope rabbit hole.
Oh.
Like she cannot get out of it. She's like, I need pregnancy romances. I'm like, you hate
Didn't
them.
she just do that?
Well, and she just, yeah, she just had a new baby. But But she's reading them all. So she and we've been talking about doing a pregnancy trope episode
Right, forever.
So it felt like a good time to do it. So Rachel and I will be here Sunday night, 9:00, and we are going to break down all the different pregnancy tropes. And there are different ones, including my favorite, secret baby. I know. Talk about deception. I like a secret baby. And so you won't want to miss it. I promise it'll be a really great episode. And make sure you mark your calendars for next Wednesday. And we're going to be back and we're going to talk about Where It Ends by Ashley Muniz. You guys, this is the 4th book in a series. And I'm making everybody pick it up at the end of the series.
Yeah, I just downloaded it today and I was like, oh, should I have read the other one? Well,
we'll see. Well, so I will say the 3 audios for the first 3 books are on Hoopla.
Okay.
So I have read book 1 and book 2. I did not read book 3 yet, but I'm just going to skip it and go to book 4 because book 4, this is the character I've been waiting for. So, it is evil of me, but it is also the best part of me to make you all read a book that's 4th in a series.
Yeah.
It's community service.
Right.
Anyway, we will see you here, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Jenny, for hanging out tonight.
You're welcome.
And until next time, everybody, happy reading.
Find us on Instagram at buzzingaboutromance or on Twitter at buzzingromance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.